You see, life is a strange dance, isn't it? Sometimes we move with the music, and other times we stand in silence watching everyone else waltz away. But let me tell you something important about being alone, about being the so-called man with no friends. People might call it loneliness, but I call it freedom, a chance to find your voice in the echoes of silence, to hear your own thoughts when the world stops talking. This is not a tragedy. No, this is a chapter, a powerful one, of rediscovery, reinvention, and resilience tonight. I'm not here to sympathize. I'm here to challenge you, because in those quiet moments, when there's no one else, you'll find the strength to become someone worth knowing, and that, my friend, is where the story begins. Now I want you to imagine something. Picture the man who walks through life, seemingly untouched by the chaos that surrounds him. He's the man who doesn't have a group to call his own. People pass by, they talk in whispers, and they share glances that he can feel but can never quite understand. But in truth, he's a man on a unique journey, one that many others will never walk. And that's a fact. We often get caught up in the idea that friendship, connection, and the power of solitude, companionship, are the fundamental pillars of a meaningful life. It's natural, isn't it? Society tells us we must have this, we must belong. You look at the world and you see people with their tight-knit circles, their social networks, their communities, their gatherings. You think to yourself, why am I on the outside looking in? Why do I feel as though I'm alone in a room full of people? It's not unusual to feel isolated in today's world. The expectations of society, with its hustle and bustle, the pressure to conform, to be seen, to be liked, it's overwhelming. And yet, despite this, I want you to ask yourself one crucial question. What if being alone isn't the curse you think it is? Loneliness, being the man with no friends, is an opportunity for profound self-discovery. Most people shy away from solitude because they fear the silence. They fear the absence of voices, the absence of validation, the absence of interaction. But let me tell you, this true growth happens in silence. Realization is born in quiet reflection, in those moments of stillness, when there is no one else around. You are forced to confront yourself. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you can no longer rely on the opinions, the thoughts, or the judgments of music others? This is where strength is born. This is where your true power lies. You see, being alone doesn't mean being weak. No, it means you're strong enough to stand in your own truth. It means you're brave enough to face yourself in the rawest, most vulnerable form. You are learning what it means to rely on nothing but your own heart, your own mind. Redefining friendships and relationships, and your own courage. I want you to understand something important here. Being the man with no friends does not mean you are lacking in value. The absence of others around you doesn't take away from your worth. It amplifies it. It challenges you to rise higher, to become more than you ever thought possible. What society often overlooks is that those who walk alone often walk the furthest. They move through life without the safety net of approval, without the comfort of cliques or conformity. They are forced to innovate, to solve problems, to learn how to be their own greatest ally. In many ways, they become the architects of their own destiny. You might look around at those with social circles and think, why do they have what I don't? Why are they surrounded by people who seem to value them, while I am left in the shadows of my own thoughts? But what if that's exactly where you need to be? What if that silence is a gift, a chance to shape your life on your own terms? And this is not some romantic notion. This is the reality that many of the world's greatest minds, the most successful and influential people, have understood. They were often alone. They faced isolation. They battled the loneliness that comes with being different, with thinking outside the box. But they used it. They transformed it into something far greater than anyone could have imagined. You think of the great artists, the philosophers, the innovators, the ones who changed the world. Many of them had few friends. They were often solitary figures, misunderstood and even criticized, yet it was in their solitude that they found the space to think differently, to push boundaries, and to, overcoming loneliness, ultimately create legacies that outlive them. Do you know what it takes to be alone? It takes something extraordinary. It takes courage. It takes an iron will. It takes the ability to look within yourself and say, I am enough, to look at the world and say, I don't need validation from others. I don't need approval. I don't need to be part of the crowd. I only need to be true to myself. And perhaps most importantly, being alone teaches you one essential lesson: how to be your own friend. You learn how to treat yourself with the kindness, the compassion, and the respect that you often withhold from yourself. You learn how to be your own support system, your own cheerleader, your own confidant. Imagine, if you will, that you've spent so much of your life searching for friends, searching for that external validation. But what if you could give that to yourself? What if, instead of longing for the companionship of others, you could offer yourself everything you've been searching for in the eyes of others? What if you could become the very thing you seek, or within yourself? The truth is that the man with no friends is not lacking in anything. He is not lesser, not incomplete, not inferior. On the contrary, he is someone with the rarest of qualities: self-reliance. He is capable of standing alone, not because he has no choice, but because he understands the incredible power of being in his own company. The journey he embarks upon, alone yet purposeful, is a journey few dare to. Finding inner strength and purpose take. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The moment you embrace your own company, the moment you stop needing the validation of others, something extraordinary happens. You become magnetic. People begin to notice you, not because you're seeking their attention, but because you've learned to stand on your own. You begin to radiate a confidence and a peace that others cannot ignore, and that, my friend, is when true connections can begin. You may still find yourself surrounded by people who come and go, but now you no longer need them. You no longer look to others for approval. Your sense of self-worth is no longer tied to the number of friends or followers you have. It is rooted in who you are, in what you stand for, and in the strength you've cultivated within yourself. So if you find yourself today in a place where you feel you have no friends, no circle of people around you, take a deep breath and know this: you are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be. You are on the precipice of something extraordinary. You are learning the most valuable lesson of all: how to stand alone, how to find your own path, and how to be the greatest friend you will ever have. And when you discover that, when you unlock that power within you, you'll find that the world has a way of coming to final message and take away you. And when it does, you won't need to look for validation or approval. You will simply be yourself, fully, unapologetically, and magnificently. So embrace the silence, embrace the solitude, and know that in those moments of quiet, the seeds of greatness are being planted. And one day, when the world looks at you, they will see the man who walked alone, and they will understand that the journey you took was the one that led to the most remarkable place of all, your own greatness.